I've recently heard a lot of people ask the question, how much do Year 12s need to study to do well in VCE? And people always seem to give these pretty vague answers about how much you need to study each night. But today, what I'm going to show you is exactly how long I studied each night to score a 99.8 ATAR. And hopefully, you'll see that it wasn't too much. Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Emil, and I recently graduated from Scotch College in 2020 with an ATAR of 99.8 and a 99th percentile UCAT score. Soon, I'll be starting my first year of medicine at Monash University. And in this video, I'm going to show you the study habits I had during Year 12, which helped me to achieve these scores, as well as showing you exactly how much I studied each night on average using an app called Forest. Before I get into the stats of this video though, I want to clear up that the aim of this video isn't for me to show off or show how little I studied. Really what I want is to clear up the misinformation there is about how much you have to study each night to get a 90 plus ATAR. I think there are a lot of myths out there in the space and people start to panic and feel really overwhelmed because they feel they aren't doing enough study. And I really want to clear through that and show you that you don't need to be studying 4+ hours a night just to do well in VCE. I'd also like to put this disclaimer out there that just because I studied this much doesn't mean you have to do the same, or you should feel bad if you're studying more or you're studying less. Just because I did this certain amount is because this method worked for me. And if there's any secret I'd like to say about VCE, it's that you should find out what works best for you before anything else. So that being said, let's move on to the stats.
So as you can see, I've pulled up the Forest app on my phone. And if you don't know what Forest is, it's an app where every time you study, you just plant a tree just like this for any amount of time you'd like. And during that time, you just don't use your phone and you just study. And I used this fairly religiously during Year 12. I used it every time I studied. I'd almost never study without using Forest. It's an app I highly recommend actually. And what you can do is you can change the time you want to study, and what will be important in this video is that you can set tags, and then also Forest will track all the time you spent studying and generate its own statistics. So what I will do is I'll go into my Forest and I'll select my subjects that I did in Year 12. So those were Bio, Latin, Chemistry, English and Spec. Now I'll set it to year and we can go to 2020 and it'll show us basically how much I studied every month and on average every day of the week. You can pause the video, but I will slowly go through all of these so that you can see. In January, I studied 28 hours, February 48, March 64, April 39, May 44, 31, 51, 55, 38, 65, and 50 in November, and then obviously nothing in December. And another interesting thing about Forest is you can see the average time you spent studying every day. So Monday, I studied 1 hour and 43 minutes, Tuesday, 1 hour 34 minutes on average, Wednesday, 1 hour 17 minutes, 1 hour and 4 minutes on Thursday, 42 minutes on Friday, 1 hour and 20 minutes on Saturday, and then 2 hours and 17 minutes on Sunday. So as you can see, I was a big Sunday grinder. I'd always do my homework on Sunday just before the due date on Monday. And then I think the final interesting thing here is the tags distribution. As you probably saw before in the screenshot of my scores, you could see that the top 4 I had was English, Latin, Spec, and Methods. Methods I did in 2019, so it doesn't show here. But as you can see, the 3 subjects that were in my top 4 were the subjects I studied the most, and I did that intentionally, and I knew that from the start, which is something that I will talk about later in this video when I talk about the things that allowed me to achieve the score I did. So now what I'll do is I'll move on to some stats and calculate the averages myself, because some of these include zeros, such as the time in December. So I will calculate my own average and show you exactly how much I studied in 2020.
Now that we've seen my Forest page, let's move on to a summary of the statistics. So in January, I studied on average each day 57 minutes. In February, 1 hour and 30 minutes. In March, 2 hours and 2 minutes. In April, 1 hour and 20 minutes. In May, 1 hour and 26 minutes. In June, 1 hour. In July, 1 hour and 41 minutes. In August, 1 hour and 45 minutes. In September, 1 hour and 16 minutes. Then October was my highest month with 2 hours and 8 minutes. And then November with 1 hour and 42 minutes. Which gives us an average over the whole year, school year that is, of 1 hour and 32 minutes per day. So that means I studied on average 1 hour and 32 minutes each day for the whole year. Now obviously this isn't exactly how it worked, because on some days like Fridays I'd do very little work, and then on other days like Sundays I'd be doing 3-4 hours. But overall, over the whole school year, this means that I studied 1 hour and 32 minutes a day. Now looking at this number, this isn't a whole lot. I think most people would be able to study 1 hour and 30 minutes each day. But that being said, just studying 1 hour and 30 minutes each day won't get everyone a high ATAR. But I'd like to talk about the certain things that enabled me to study this much and score the way I did. Having watched the video so far, you might be asking, how did you study 1 hour and 30 minutes a night to get 99.8? When a lot of people say you need to be studying 4, 5, sometimes 6 hours a night just to get a 99 plus ATAR. And I'd say there were a few advantages and a mindset that I had that allowed me to score this highly. The first main advantage I had was that I did well in my Year 11 subject. I did Maths Methods 3-4 in Year 11, and I scored a 46 raw, which scales to about a 49. Because I knew this, I knew going into Year 12 that Maths Methods would most likely be in my top 4 subjects at the end of the year. And because of this, and knowing that English must be in your top 4, I knew that only 2 subjects out of Chemistry, Biology, Specialist, and Latin would be in my top 4. And because of this, and knowing that Latin and Spec are 2 very scaling subjects, I knew that almost certainly, almost to 100% guarantee, that Spec and Latin would be my other 2 top 4 subjects. This leads me on to my second main advantage, which was that I was able to avoid the competition of VCE. By this I mean, since I knew Latin, Spec, and English were going to be the 3 subjects out of my 5 that would be in my top 4, I was able to just set a certain study score point that I wanted to reach, especially in subjects like Spec and Latin, where a 38 scales to a 52 in Latin, and a 39 also scales to a 52 in Latin, with almost a 0.1 difference. There isn't much necessarily in putting so much effort to try and get higher and higher and higher study scores. So because of this mentality I had, I was able to avoid a lot of the competition that comes with VCE. Because I knew Spec and Latin would scale so well, I was able to just set up a cutoff point for my subjects, and that was a 39 in Latin and a 42 in Spec, which was both what I achieved. Because I had those 2 cutoff points, it meant that I could avoid a lot of the competition, because people were sort of aiming to do better than others, but I was just competing against the system, trying to get a specific score. And this mentality helped me so much in avoiding the competition, feeling stressed and anxious about SACs and all of that. This meant that I was able to sort of approach the exams with confidence because I knew it was me versus the exam rather than me versus other people. The third key mindset that I had was that I was very confident in my own studies. The reason I think confidence is so important to doing well in VCE is that being confident means that you can enter an exam room without the worry of failing or doing poorly. It means that a lot of those negative thoughts don't stay around in your head as much, and you can focus instead on completely crushing an exam. Confidence is something I think everyone doing VCE and exams in general need to work on and build up on, so that they can really enter exams without feeling unnecessarily worried. Now the fourth and final thing I attribute to my success in VCE is that I was very efficient in the time I spent studying. And by that I mean I refused to write notes in any of my subjects except for English, and I only wrote notes in English because there was no textbook. The reason why I think notes are so bad as a study technique is because they take such a long time to create and also provide very little in terms of memorizing and exam questions. I always prefer to do practice exams, and I like to present this hypothetical to people who disagree with me. I say, would you rather write notes for chemistry for 30 hours, or would you rather do 6 practice exams taking 5 hours to do each one? And I always think doing those 6 practice exams in 5 hours each would expose you to so much more of the content, and also expose you to exam style questions that you'd get tested on the day. And this is why I think taking notes is a very inefficient method of studying, and why I avoided that at all costs last year. And in doing so, this was something that allowed me to lower the amount of time I spent studying significantly. Now, even though I spent much of this video talking about how much I studied and why I was able to study that amount, I'd like to say that the quality of your study time matters so much more than the quantity. Someone who studies 4 hours a night but looks at their phone every 12 minutes and can't concentrate will invariably do worse than someone who studies for 1 hour a night with laser beam focus. I'll soon be releasing a video about my study tips that help me stay focused during Year 12s. I hope that from this video you're able to gain a little bit of perspective and confidence into what it takes to do well in VCE, and hopefully you'll see that it's not as daunting as it seems. If you got anything out of this video, remember to like, comment and subscribe, and stay tuned for more study related content.